Sir, shall we begin, sir?
Sure, sir. We will begin, sir.
Okay, sir. Good morning, everybody. I'm very happy to be here on this day on the occasion of a special webinar on art of speaking. Respected Dr. Ayyappa Raja, Associate Professor, Department of English, Annamalai University, Chidambaram, and my dear colleagues, Professor Lakshmi, and my student, our alumni, Mr. Gnanavel from United Technology Chennai, and dear participants. It is immense pleasure for me to propose a formal welcome address. As you all know that it is a difficult period that we are crossing over due to COVID-19 pandemic, and the entire education scenario is being changing into another format, especially in online format. And also another important aspect is most 60 to 70% of job are being now done from either work from home or keeping your job at home. So in all these cases, it is very, very essential that we have to communicate, we have to express our thoughts, we have to express our actions in our language. And whatever languages we choose, that we have to communicate in a better manner. So the speaking is always a special, and as the title says, it is an art. So on this occasion, it is very important for us to learn the art of speaking. So for this purpose, we have invited a special resource person, Dr. Ayyappa Raja. He is an associate professor in Department of English, Annamalai University, Chidambaram. And he is an illustrious, experienced professor. And he has so many credits in his academic profile. And I could list some few of his academic achievements. He is a gold medalist in MA English. And also he has completed state level lecturer eligibility test. And he has completed his MPhil and PhD in the same institution. He has 18 years of experience with him, with the teaching profession, and he has a very rich checkered career. He has a very vast research experience, and he has guided 10 PhD scholars and 24 MPhil scholars, and he has published more than 74 papers in national and international journals, and also he has published 4 books in his credit. So such a wide experienced person, and he is with us, and I hope that his experience will definitely get benefit for all the students. So on behalf of the Nehru Memorial College and department, I heartily welcome you, sir. Next, I would like to welcome our alumni, Mr. Gnanavel, HR manager from United Technology Chennai. He is doing a lot of help to students of Nehru Memorial College, and with these associations we are able to invite so many resource persons, and we would be able to share their knowledges to our students. So on behalf of the department and on behalf of I welcome Janavel. And also I welcome my colleagues and my dear students who have registered for this webinar. And also I welcome the students from Annamalai University who have also joined this webinar. And I hope that this webinar will be more fruitful and more useful for all of you. So once again, I welcome all of you on this unique occasion. Now I request Mr. Janavel to speak few words.
Sir, very good morning, sir.
Yes, words.
I am very happy to work with our college from the webinar, arranging the webinar for the past 2 months. So I am proud of you, sir, because you, as well as principal, sir, as well as chairman, sir, we have behind to initiative the kind of seminar will arrange for the past 2 months, sir. So I am very happy. I am very proud of you, sir. Thank you very much, sir. As well as my +2 classmates, Dr. Ayyappa Raja, welcoming to give the valuable speech for the NMC College. Thank you very much, Dr. Ayyappa Raja.
Thank you.
Now I request Dr. Ayyappa Raja to take the sessions. Welcome you, sir.
Thank you, sir. Shall I begin, sir?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Excuse sir. Excuse sir.
Yes, madam.
One request to our participants, sir. Participants kindly pin the presentation of Dr. S. Ayyappa Raja so that the presentation will not be disturbed. So kindly pin the presentation of Dr. S. Ayyappa Raja. Participants, please pin the presentation of Dr. S. Ayyappa Raja so that you can continuously watch the session without any disturbances. Thank you.
Sir, you can continue, sir.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much, sir. Thank you. First of all, very good morning to one and all, especially the Honorable Professor and Head, Professor Muralidharan, sir, and the senior faculty member, Professor Lakshmi, ma'am, and my dear bosom friend, Mr. Janavel, who is my classmate in PRG Higher Secondary School, Kattumannar Koil, the HR manager at present, United Technology, Chennai, and all the participants, faculty members, all of you, very good morning once again to you. Today, we are going to discuss art of speaking. Knowledge may be useless unless it is communicated to others, says Stanton Nicky in his work Mastering Communication. Knowledge may be useless unless it is communicated to others. Communication is a very essential aspect of personality. The person can communicate, can transfer his ideas, can transfer his feelings, can transfer his knowledge to others. When he transfers his ideas to others, then it is the communication between him and then the others. If numbers are many, then we term mass communication. If the person communicates with many people, then we call mass communication. Communication is an essential aspect, especially the art of talking is very much essential nowadays. Since when the computer science students or that the young aspirants, job aspirants, when they go for any job, if they join in any job, then the companies may ask them to train the recruits, in the induction program or in training classes. They may be asked to train. They may be asked to train. Since the need of communication, since the need of the art of speaking is very much essential for all. It includes the technocrats. So all of us, we need better communication skills, Ralph Waldo Emerson, the famous American philosopher, the famous renowned American writer, poet, essayist, one of the architects of modern America. And he says that in his essay, American Scholar, the real scholar should communicate his knowledge with others, should share his knowledge with others. The communication is an essential aspect of everyone. The scholar should communicate. These conversations are pearls and rubies, according to Ralph Waldo Emerson. And he has mentioned in his work, American Scholar, the necessity of communication, sharing the knowledge, disseminating the knowledge with others in the society. Since the need of speaking comes to the surface, it is very essential aspect. Talking to a large group is an art. Certainly, it is an art. And we are living in an era of oral and visual communication. So today, people, they love to see, they love to hear, they like to hear more, they love to see more, the action in they want to see. Rather, reading. The time of reading now is that the habit of reading now is slowly dwindling. But at the same time, people, they love to hear more, they love to see more. So this is the world of oral and visual communication. So few people are born speakers, but at the same time, everyone can acquire the skill certainly at some degree. Few people are born speakers in this world, and they have the knack, they have the innate quality of speaking, and they have the gift of gab, the ability to speak fluently without any mistakes, effectively, brilliantly, making the ideas to be known to others. So some of them are born speakers, but at the same time, everyone can acquire this skill at some extent, especially we people, the aspirants who would like to get good jobs, especially who would like to come to the profession of teaching. The communication skill, especially the art of speaking, plays an important role. It is integral part of the teacher or any other technocrat. First of all, look at that. What is important if you want to become a good speaker? The first aspect we have to look at that confidence. Confidence, hope, self-belief. Self-belief is essential, is very much important. Without hope, there is no life. Without hope, there is no life. It is important for us to have the self-belief, first of all, believing oneself. The dream of Martin Luther King Jr., in which he expressed in the speech, I have a dream. Martin Luther King Jr., the civil rights activist, and he has made a speech, I have a dream, in which he has insisted the equality, the brotherhood among the races. And he has that dream in that speech, I have a dream. That dream is materialized later in the form of Barack Obama, the former president of United States of America, the first African American president, first African American president of United States of America. And Barack Obama has made that observation. In his victorious speech, he has mentioned that, yes, we can. Yes, we can. So this is a mantra, and all of us, we should remember that the confidence that can make the person to achieve the goal, to achieve the goal. So in the art of speaking also, confidence plays an important role. Confidence plays an important role. What you are going to do, how you are going to do, what you are going to do, and how you are going to do. Once the aspirant speaker knows these two, then automatically he can gain, she can gain the confidence. He or she can gain the confidence. So knowing that what we are going to do and how we are going to do, these two questions, if you find answers to these two questions, then automatically confidence will come to you. Nervousness is a common phenomenon. And the people, many aspirants, many who would like to become good speakers, and they say they have nervousness. Nervousness is a common phenomenon. Even the experienced speakers, they have nervousness at the initial part of their speeches. At the initial part of their speeches, even the experienced speakers, the politicians, the great leaders, they also have nervousness, but the success lies in that how they overcome the nervousness. The initial part of their presentations, they also experience nervousness. Automatically, they know how to overcome the nervousness. Every meeting is new to them, and every time the audience are new, the subject is new. That's why even the experienced speakers, they have nervousness initial part of their presentation. But at the same time, they know very well how to overcome their nervousness. They make sure what they are going to present. The first few sentences are very important. In every speech, the first few sentences which the speaker is going to present are very important. And these experienced speakers, they know very well how to overcome the nervousness. The young aspirants, the novice speakers, they should overcome the nervousness, and they should make it clear. This is a common phenomenon. This is a common phenomenon, common development. Every speaker has that nervousness, but the success lies how to overcome the nervousness. Another aspect, hesitancy. Many of these young aspirant speakers, and they have the hesitancy, and they have that the diffidence. They are not sure, and they have that the tendency of hesitation. So they have to come up, and they have to come to the stage, and they have to make their presentation, and then only this art will come to them. To overcome the hesitancy, to overcome the nervousness, these two are very important if you want to become a good speaker. Politicians and famous speakers to experience this, as already I told you, Lloyd George, the former British Prime Minister during the time of the World War I, and he was known as the best orator and the best debater the country has ever seen. But even the former Prime Minister, who was known as the best orator of the country, and even he observed that whenever he went on to speak in the House of Commons, he felt cat on hot bricks. He felt himself as a cat on hot bricks. So this observation indicates that how even the experienced speakers, they feel the nervousness at the initial part of their presentation. We are the worst critics of ourselves. Often we find that we criticize ourselves more. We are the worst critics of ourselves. Always we make our performances and always, especially the pitfalls we committed, or that the shortcomings we committed, or the demerits we have at the time of our presentation, always we remember those things again and again, and we feel bad about that. But we should come out from this tendency. We should come out from this tendency, this attitude. We should try to heal our wounds, and we should come out from criticizing ourselves. We should have that confidence to overcome all our shortcomings. As aspirants, as young aspirants who would like to become good speakers, and they have to feel that confidence to overcome all these demerits, disadvantages. They should not be worst critics of themselves. Two important attitudes we find when it comes to criticizing oneself. We know that one famous observation related to the attitudes of the dog, the attitude of the dog, the attitude of the monkey. When the dog gets injury, when the dog gets a wound, the dog tries to heal the wound by licking it. On the other hand, if a monkey gets the injury, gets the wound, the monkey further aggravates the injury, further aggravates, maximizes the wound. Automatically, it affects the state of health of the monkey. So if a wound comes, if injury comes, we people, we should adapt the strategy of the dog. And even scientists, they observe that the saliva of the dog has that ability, has that the medicinal quality to heal the wound. Just like the dog, we have to heal our wound, our worst performances, even if it so happened, don't bother about them, and we should heal our wounds, and we should overcome all our shortcomings, all our demerits, and prove to the world that we are born to win. We are born to win. So we know how we feel inside. This is the reason that often we consider ourselves the worst critics. We criticize ourselves. All the great speakers were bad speakers once. Once again, Ralph Waldo Emerson, in his work, The Conduct of Life, and he mentions that all the great speakers were bad speakers once. We have to remember that even the great speakers, they started their career as the bad speakers. So there is a scope and there is the opportunity for every one of us to acquire the skill of talking, the skill of speaking, the skill of giving a talk or presentation skill. So some practical suggestions I would like to offer to you. And first among them, how to approach different kinds of talk. How to approach different kinds of talk. There are different approaches, different kinds of talk. Purposes are different, then the approaches also different. Look at the purposes of the talk. There are the talks which are intended to inform or describe. And there are talks which are intended to instruct or explain. And there are talks intended to persuade, convince, or inspire. And there are talks intended to entertain or amuse. Look at the first among them. The first purpose. The talk intended to inform or describe. In this type of talk, which are intended to inform or describe, the approach we have to adapt as a speaker, know the current level of knowledge of audience. This is very important. Knowing the current level of knowledge of audience. First of all, if you know the current level of knowledge of audience, then you will be in a better position to inform them or describe something to them. Then use the appropriate language. Many times the speakers, they use bombastic language, language which is very difficult, the diction which is very difficult. Use that simple language and make the listeners to follow your presentation, and make the listeners to follow your presentation. So the talks which are intended to inform or describe, then you present, you get that approach of knowing the current level of knowledge of audience and using the appropriate language. This approach you can adapt. Then the talk which is intended to instruct or explain, and there you have to concentrate on showing like diagrams, pictures, or demonstrations. You can perform demonstrations, then automatically you can instruct through your demonstrations. Normally, teachers in classroom teaching, and they follow this, they concentrate on showing like diagrams, pictures, they use a chalk, blackboard, and they use a LCD, and they use all these gadgets also. So the talks which are intended to instruct or explain, then we have to adapt the approach of concentrating, concentration on showing like diagrams, pictures, or demonstrations we can perform. Then the talk which is intended to persuade or convince or inspire, especially this type of talk is provided by the politicians, sales representatives, especially the politicians and the sales representatives, they use this type of talk to persuade. They persuade the people to buy the product, persuade the people, convince the people, inspire the people to vote for their political party, So the political leaders, they use this type of talk. And there, the approach, appealing to the heart and the mind of the audience, that approach can be adapted. The speaker has to appeal to the heart, the speaker has to appeal to the mind of the audience. So the speech should be logical, otherwise you may not convince or inspire the audience to get your product or get your idea or notion. Then there are talks which are intended to entertain or amuse, especially at the time of vote of thanks. We use this type of talking. So there, being brief, brevity is the soul of wit. Brevity is the soul of wit. So you have to be brief at the time of vote of thanks. At the same time, ration your humor. You have to be, and relate your speech to the audience's interest and be personal. Only place where you have to be personal in your talking in the vote of thanks. So in the vote of thanks, you will get that opportunity being subjective, being personal, and you can share your personal feelings also in the vote of thanks. Apart from approaching different kinds of talk, and we have to know how to open and how to close of our speaking, how to open our speaking, how to close our speaking, beginning as well as the end of the speech. There are some ways, and we are going to discuss further the ways, and we are going to see that soon in the next segment. So design good looking visual aids. We have to design that visual aids. As already I told you, this is a world of oral and visual communication. People love to see the visuals. So you have to design good looking visual aids and organize your stage on the day. This is also very important. When you are a speaker, you have to organize your stage on the day. Whatever the requirements you expect from the organizer of that particular event, so you can ask the organizer to provide all the facilities that will enable you to present your views effectively to the audience. The essential aspects which we have to look at when you want to become a good speaker: hard work and practice. Without hard work, we cannot get success. Not only in the art of speaking, this is applicable to all the activities of man. Hard work is essential. Hard work never fails. As Thiruvalluvar mentions in one of the Kurals, Daivattan ahad eninum muyacchi tam meivarutha kuli tarum. Daivattan ahad eninum muyacchi tam meivarutha kuli tarum. So even the fate does not favor you. If you take great efforts, if you do the hard work, then you can get the benefit of your hard work, your efforts. As Lord Tennyson presents in the poem Ulysses, you have to take great efforts. I quote the words of Lord Tennyson in his poem Ulysses: to strive, to seek, to find, not to yield. To strive, to seek, to find, not to yield. To strive, to take great efforts. To strive, to seek, that seeking, that trying to find something is important for everyone. To find and never to yield, not to yield. You should not give up your efforts. In the art of speaking also, if you work hard towards the direction to become a good speaker, then you can achieve success. Hard work never fails. Practice. Practice is essential. We have to practice properly. Practice, once again, the famous saying, Sittiramum Kaipalakkam, Sendamilum Naapalakkam. Sittiramum Kaipalakkam, Sendamilum Naapalakkam. Whatever the language it may be, we have to speak the language. We have to use the language. We have to practice the language. Then only the language will come to you. If we do not use the language, automatically we forget the words, even which we acquire. We may forget the meanings of the words. So continuous practice is essential. Continuous practice is essential if we want to become good speakers. Preparation, there is no replacement for this word preparation. We have to do a proper preparation for every talk, every speech, and make our presentation as a spontaneous one. Spontaneity, that is also important. So hard work and practice. Sir, how can I get to practice? As an aspirant, as a good speaker, I want to become a good speaker, aspiring speaker. How can I get the practice? If you ask the question, then we may find the answers. I will tell you. So first of all, mere bookish knowledge, that will not be enough. We have to get that the practical knowledge, hands-on approach. The modern trainers, they use hands-on training. So mere bookish knowledge will not be helpful to become a good speaker. If you want to become a swimmer, if you want to learn the art of swimming, then you have to enter the water. You have to enter the water if you want to become a swimmer. If you want to learn the art of swimming, then you have to enter the water. So mere reading of the books will not be helpful. Mere reading of the books written by the swimmers, for example, we remember Michael Phelps, one who has won so many gold medals, individual gold medals in the event of swimming in Olympics. Michael Phelps, the great swimmer. If you want to become a swimmer, mere bookish knowledge will not be enough. If you read books written by the swimmers, if you go through about the writings, that will not be helpful for you. You have to enter the water. You have to enter the water, then only you will become a swimmer. So any activity for that matter, we have to involve ourselves and get the practical knowledge, practical implementation of knowledge. In Tamil, the famous saying that goes on, Yettu Surakai Karikku Udavadu. If you write honey and then if you lick it, then it will not give you the taste of honey. So here we have to work hard and then get involved in that activity. Then only we can acquire that particular skill. For example, the earlier radio recordings of Lloyd George, the former British Prime Minister during the First World War time, and Aneurin Bevan, another important speaker of England, and he was the creator of the National Health Service. These two were known as the best speakers of England. But at the same time, the early radio recordings of these two speakers show that they did not have the power and the oratory initial stage of their life. Only the practice that gained over the years perfected their art as good speakers. So here, what do we know? Even Aneurin Bevan has that the speech defect, stammer, a speech defect, stammer he has. His speech was marked by a stammer. But at the same time, he developed the wide command of language that helped him to avoid the words which he could not pronounce properly. So we have to know more number of words in English language. If you want to become a good speaker in English, any language for that matter, vocabulary, the word power, how many words we know in that particular language, that will give us the mastery over the language. So here we find that Aneurin Bevan he had that speech defect, but at the same time, he has overcome successfully the speech defect by knowing more number of words and gaining wide command over the language, English language, and he has become a powerful speaker. He has become a powerful speaker. So my simple suggestion to the young aspirants, the young speakers, if you feel that some of the words are very difficult for you to pronounce, it is better you can know the easy words, the replacements for those words. For example, metamorphosis is a word in English. Metamorphosis. Instead of, if you feel that the difficulty in uttering the word metamorphosis, then it is better you can use the alternative, transform, change, mutate. These are the alternatives you find for the word metamorphosis. Metamorphosis. Like that, you have to find more number of words. You can express your views effectively if you know more number of words, and you can avoid that the difficulty even if you have that your own limitations. In the same way, the videos of Margaret Thatcher, another former Prime Minister of England, and if you look at the old videos of Margaret Thatcher, the same change, the transformation that took place in her appearance, her voice, and her delivery, because the coaching she had, and she changed herself, especially she raised her way of talking and her voice and her appearance too, with the proper practice, proper training, and the hard work. When we look at that, the transformation, immediately English students, they remember the famous drama of George Bernard Shaw, the famous drama of George Bernard Shaw. George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion. The name of the drama is the Pygmalion. In that drama, Pygmalion, George Bernard Shaw has made the poor slum girl who sells flowers, a flower girl who sells flowers. Her name is Elizabeth Doolittle, Eliza Doolittle, who speaks the language of the slum dwellers, who speak the language of the slum dwellers. And Professor Higgins, Henry Higgins, Professor Henry Higgins, and he is a professor of phonetics. One day, at that rainy evening, the Professor Henry Higgins meets the flower selling girl, and he wants to change the language of the flower selling girl, Elizabeth Doolittle. And he asked her to come regularly to his laboratory, and the girl also visited regularly. And soon, after some weeks, automatically she has undergone the transformation, and she is able to speak the Queen's English. Even the foreign ambassador considers her as a princess. In such a way, the language, the appearance, that can be changed with the help of proper training. This is the best instance, the literary instance, example. Where do we find the transformation? If you do the hard work, practice, and get that proper training, then we can improve our voice, we can improve our delivery, we can improve our appearance also. And this is a best example provided in literature, George Bernard Shaw's Pygmalion. Then, if you ask me the question, sir, how can I get practice? How can I get practice? our young student friends, and many opportunities you may have in your life, in your schools, in your colleges, in your universities, in your educational institutions, and you have that many opportunities. The teachers, they may come. Remember those occasions, they might have come and ask you to propose a vote of thanks. To propose a vote of thanks. Remember how many of you utilize that opportunity of proposing a vote of thanks. Many of the student friends, they simply pass on the opportunity to others. They may say that I don't have the gift of the gab. I am too nervous. I cannot appear on the stage. I cannot speak like that. Many times when the opportunity is given to the student friends, and many of them simply pass that opportunity to some other person. So hereafter, don't give up the chance of proposing a vote of thanks. Don't give up that opportunity. This is a wonderful opportunity to get practice. If your teacher asks you to propose a vote of thanks in one of the functions, then immediately accept the offer. This is a very good ground for your preparation to get that practice to become a good speaker. To just stand up and propose a vote of thanks. Hereafter, the opportunity comes to you in future. Then opening the meeting by saying few words. Sometimes we may have that opportunity, we may have that chance to utter few words before the formal meeting commences. So if opportunity comes like that, utilize the opportunity. Then the introduction of the speaker. Sometimes the teacher may ask you, or the organizer may ask you to introduce the speaker. So this is a golden opportunity where you can get that practice, in which you get that practice. In the same way, if the meeting is going on, if a conference session is going on, and you may feel that very important idea to be shared, you have that valid point, but always you bury that valid point with you, and you never come out to share your view. Hereafter, if you feel something to express in such sessions, this is important for you to come out and share your views confidently. So these are the opportunities, occasions where you can get to practice, where you can get the training, and you will be a good speaker if you continuously get that practice in such instances. Automatically that will lead you to become a good speaker. Then one can gain in confidence, certainly, and find the strength and weaknesses. Know thyself. All the psychologists, the first lesson they would like to present, know thyself, know yourself. In fact, this is taken from one of the epithets written in the temple of Delphi. In the temple of Delphi in the ancient Greece, know thyself. This is taken from there in the temple of Delphi in Greece, ancient Greece, and it is attributed to Socrates. Socrates also uses this, know thyself. Know thyself is very simple. Know our strength and know our weaknesses. Know our strength in the art of speaking also. Know our strength, our ability to make different sorts of sentence structures, and our ability to use different vocabulary, word diction, our ability to change our voice, the dramatic modulation, the tone. So these are the strengths we have as a speaker. Then we have to use them and avoid at the same time the weaknesses. If we have that the weaknesses, then we can avoid that. So know our strength, and avoid our weaknesses. This is important in the activity of speaking. But we should not misconstrue or that wrongly think that one story that immediately comes to my mind when I present knowing the strength of someone, the story about a deer, a story about a deer. A deer lives in a forest. One day it goes to take water, to drink water in a nearby pond, and it drinks water. The deer drinks water in a pond in a forest. When it sees the image of it, it likes very much its horns, beautiful horns the deer has. And the deer is very much proud of its horns. The deer thinks that the horns of it are the real strength, the real beauty of it. On the other hand, the deer sees the legs of it, and it contends that the legs are thin, the legs are ugly. The legs are thin and legs are ugly. One day, a tiger crouches and attacks the deer. Attacks the deer. Automatically, the deer runs. The deer starts to run for its life. To save its life, the deer runs and it realizes that the legs which it considered as weaknesses of it, the legs, thin and ugly legs, now very much helpful for the deer to escape. At the same time, the horns which it contains as its strength, the horns that get entangled in the creeper, the tiger closes in, comes in and attacks the deer. At the dying moment, the deer thinks that the real strength of it is its legs, not the horns. So this is a lesson. We have to know what are our real strengths and what are our weaknesses. In the art of speaking also, we should know that the strengths of us, especially using that vocabulary and then the dramatic tone and using different sorts of techniques, we are going to see some of them in the later segment. Preparation is very much essential. Any act without preparation we cannot enter. It is same to the art of speaking also. The biography of Lloyd George, that is written by John Greeks, and in that he reveals that Lloyd George prepared his speeches thoroughly with the help of Rajesh Thesaurus. So we can refer the dictionaries, we can refer the thesaurus, and we can gain many information, the language aspects from them. So Lloyd George wrote the points beforehand and learned by heart. And he was known as a brilliant phrase maker also. And he called the members of the Lords, House of Lords, I quote, 500 men chosen accidentally from the unemployed, unquote. So look at that, how brilliant he was in making quotations like that, phrases like that, 500 men chosen accidentally from the unemployed, the House of Lords. And the two sessions we find there in the British Parliament. One is House of Commons, elected by the people. Another one is House of Lords. And he termed the members of the House of Lords as 500 men chosen accidentally from the unemployed. So the brilliance you can find in the phrase making in Lloyd George. So dramatic talent and the voice to demand attention, these two also essential for a speaker. Then many great speakers have the essential talent of making speeches sound informal, and they did the preparation very well when they appear before the audience, and they made the presentation in the offhand manner, as if naturally, as if it is impromptu, with enthusiasm and vitality, and they present without, as if it comes without any preparation. They make that sort of appearance before the audience. So we have to do the thorough preparation and deliver with enthusiasm and vitality at the time of our speeches. We can make our presentation lively, and importantly, we can present our views as if we didn't prepare them. So in that natural way, we have to express our views to the audience that can make a great appeal on the part of the audience. Then, important questions we have to ask before we go for any presentation. The important basic questions we have to ask ourselves. When? The first question, when? When will it take place? And do you have adequate time for preparation? Especially preparation for your ideas, for your delivery, preparation for the visual aids, the handouts, whether you have enough time for preparation. You have to make sure that time factor. When will it take place? So if time does not permit you, then you can ask the organizer, just give a proper time for him, few more days for him for the thorough preparation. Then how long? Another basic question. How long? How long are you to speak for? Is the time adequate for your subject? Whether you are going to speak for an hour, 60 minutes, whether you are going to speak for 40 minutes, whether you feel that the time is enough for you, then you have to decide that. So how long you are going to speak, that also plays an important role. Then the less time you have to speak, the more carefully planned your talk must be. This is a contradiction to the popular belief. If the speaker is invited to speak for 10 minutes or 15 minutes, normally we think that it is not a challenging job. It is not a challenging job because only for 15 minutes, only for 20 minutes, the speaker is invited for the speech. This is a popular misconception that less time, it is not at all a problem. 15 minutes only or 20 minutes only, you can appear and refer some names, everything is over. This is wrong approach. The less time we have to speak, the more carefully planned our talk must be. So when less time is given, time is premium for us. We have to condense, we have to carefully plan our talk within that given premium time, less time. So we have to condense everything within that minimum time given to us. So this is a misconception. Many people think that speaking less time not at all warranted any serious planning or any serious preparation. But in fact, the less time we have to speak, the more carefully planned our talk must be. As one speaker said, I quote that, if you want me to speak for 5 minutes, I need 2 weeks to prepare. Look at that. For 5 minutes, 2 weeks to prepare. If you want me to speak for 5 minutes, I need 2 weeks to prepare. If you want me to speak for an hour, I need a week to prepare. An hour, a week to prepare. 5 minutes, 2 weeks to prepare. If you don't mind how long I could speak, I will get up and do it now. If you don't mind, how long I would speak? If you give more time, it will not be a problem. Now itself, I can stand up, I can speak, unquote. So it indicates that the less time we have, the more careful planning we have to do. More careful planning we have to do in our talking, in the art of talking. Then where? The next question, where? Where is it to take place? Whether the surroundings are familiar to you and your audience. Check beforehand the size of the room. You can have that experience, the size of the room. Tired sitting, too tired, or just like gallery type. Sometimes you may have that difficulty where you have to stand on the well, stand in the well. It is in the form of a gallery. Then you have to present. Get ready, mentally get ready, knowing about the size of the room, tired sitting, or the flat floor, acoustics, the quality of sound that is carried in the atmosphere. Acoustics, you have to know that. Lighting, you would like to use some notes there. So lighting also, proper lighting also is essential. And availability of equipments, especially collar mic or that callless mic or that OHP or that LCD. So the equipments, lectern, some people they would like to use lectern. So lectern, all these equipments, and make sure of them. Don't be frightened to ask if particular arrangements are possible. If you need some of these equipments, and you can ask the organizer to provide them. And then you can have the feeling of the place, if it is possible. If it is possible. For example, Matthew Hayden, the former Australian opener in cricket, Matthew Hayden used to sit before the day of the match, used to sit on the pitch before he played in every match, and he used to do this. He went to the pitch the previous day, and he sat for some time to get the feeling of the pitch, to get the feeling of the ground. So that can give some sort of confidence to Matthew Hayden when he played the cricket matches. Like that, you also can gain some sort of confidence if you know about the ground, the place where you are going to speak, and then available gadgets, materials, the type and everything. Then the next question, who? Who are to be present? Who are the audience? Their number, whether 100 or 150 or 200 or more than 1,000 or only 20. So that you have to know the number, age group of them, type of people, what type of people they are. They are school children or college students or research scholars or academicians or that technocrats, people working in different organizations or companies, concerns. According to that, you can prepare your presentation also. Then male or female, how many of them are male or female? You have to know that. Your language also, that should be unbiased. Your language should be unbiased. You can avoid that the sexist language that can harm one particular gender, sexist language too. So you have to know the participants, whether they are male or female, their intellectual level. Another aspect you have to know, their current knowledge and the possible objections too. Sometimes they may object for some of the views which you are going to express. So you have to know all these before you enter the field of talking. Then why me? Next question, why me? What special knowledge or position have you? What will the audience expect from you? So this is not the time of falsely modest, but honestly realistic. You may feel that you may not be up to the mark for this occasion, but you should not show to the audience that you may not be the right choice to present that particular speech. But you should not be apologetic. You should not make that sort of that sort of appearance before the audience. Be confident, and you can present your views boldly to the audience. Then how? The next question you have to ask, how? Are you expected to give a formal lecture? Is it a formal lecture or a formal speech or that introductory talk to provoke discussion? So you have to decide that. According to that, you have to plan your talking. Will there be a question session? This is another important aspect we have to look into. If a question session is there, then you can reserve some of the points, some of the ideas you can reserve to present at the time of a question session that can give a better effect at the end if you add some new ideas at the time of question session. So plan accordingly. Then there is always a conflict between the desired circumstances versus given circumstances. The desired circumstances and given circumstances. There is always a conflict between desired circumstances and the given circumstances. You have to adjust. Sometimes you need minimum number of audience, only 25 people. For making that highest level of deliberation. 25 people only you may expect, 25 participants. But the organizer may ask you to present for 60 people or 100 people, 100 participants. So get ready for that also. So the number of audience, time factor. Sometimes you need 60 minutes, but the organizer may give 40 minutes. So adjust that. How can you manage that, those 20 minutes, the reduction of time? Whether that you have to use the PowerPoint presentation to reduce that time. You can simply show the slides at the end. So according to that, you can change, do that modification of your presentation and compromise yourself. It is necessary, and wherever you go, always you can find that there is a difference between the desired circumstances and the given circumstances. Adjust to that given circumstances that will help you to become a good speaker. Now, we move to the important segment. This is related to developing the material. We have to develop our material, our write-up, which we do for which we do at the time of preparation, at the time of preparation of the talk. So at first, start by breaking the main theme, the objectives. 3 stages are involved in doing this. They are thinking, reading, and constructing the outline. Thinking, reading, and constructing the outline. So first among them, thinking about that particular topic, particular title, which we are going to speak, At first, take time to gather and arrange our thoughts. So we have to take time to gather and arrange our thoughts, ideas, concepts related to that particular title. Then think at any convenient moment, not necessarily sitting at one place, exclusively spending time for thinking. Rather, even when we do that other works, manual works, like digging the garden or decorating the flat or traveling to your workplace or college, especially in bus conveyance, not when you ride a motorcycle, you cannot think that. You have to focus on the traffic rules. That is very important. So in a leisurely, when you travel, Then at that time you can think about that particular topic and gather those ideas. Then discuss the theme with the colleagues and friends. If they are really encouraging, if they are good, then you can discuss the theme with them. And you can have some new ideas also when you discuss with your colleagues and friends. And carry a notebook. Nowadays, people, they carry smartphones. So the new ideas when appear to you, you have to note them in the notes and you can make use of them. Or cards also you can use. Then the next stage, reading. Read as much as time permits. Read as much as time permits and gather more material than what you can possibly use. Collect anecdotes. Anecdotes, the stories related to the real person or real incident. You can collect them. And the stories from newspapers and magazines, you can collect them. You can organize them, read more and more, and get a large amount of information. Then construct the outline. This is very important. Every idea, every main point can be presented with that introduction. So we know that any work of art should have the proper beginning, middle, and appropriate ending. Appropriate ending. Aristotle also mentions this. Proper beginning, middle, at the appropriate end. Any work of art, even the art of speaking also certainly needs the proper construction of the outline, proper introduction. Before you introduce one main idea, you have to introduce that idea, then present the main idea. Then you can add illustrations, examples, illustrations you can add. Then you can deal with objections. Sometimes some people, they have some reservations. They express some reservations. Then offer solutions to those reservations. Then conclude. In this way, you have to construct the outline of every major idea and repeat this process as necessary. You can repeat when you introduce every new idea in your presentation. Every new idea in your presentation. So a good speech can be made or marred by its opening and its close. So opening and close of the talking, these two are important stages, and we have to focus upon how to open our talk and how to close our talk. In opening the talk, you may find that you may follow an outstanding speaker. Sometimes you are the speaker invited after an outstanding speaker. That speaker can gain that thunderous applause from the audience. Then your position is further tricky. Then you have to speak, and then you have to make the audience to attend, be attentive to your presentation. So you may follow an outstanding speaker, or you may be the first speaker. Sometimes you may be invited as the first speaker. You have to do the act of cutting ice, ice breaking. So you are the first speaker to that program. Then you will be in a position to attract the attention of the audience of that program. Then you may feel nervousness for first few minutes. As already we discussed that this is a common phenomenon, and we have to make sure what we are going to speak in first few sentences, what we are going to speak. The first few sentences we have to make thoroughly clear, then automatically we can overcome the nervousness. Once the starting trouble is over, everything is over there. The nervousness automatically will disappear if we make our mind sure. what we are going to speak, the first few words, few sentences. Then position your notes and visual aids comfortably. So you have to maneuver the stage. You have to move on. Sometimes people, they come down to the audience and they have that high interactive sessions also. So make sure you have room to move. So don't hesitate. Once you enter there, don't hesitate. Once you have been invited to present your views, then immediately start. Don't delay your start, and immediately you have to start. Don't hesitate, and give a fraction of time for the audience to look at you, take stock of you, and you can have a view of the entire audience, and immediately you have to begin your speech. Don't open with cliches or hackneyed expressions, often used expressions, gives me pleasure or something like that. So cliches and hackneyed expressions should be avoided. Don't open with overused, often used, stale, old expressions. Rather, something original. Something original. If you want to thank your audience, you can do at the end of the talk, not at the beginning. So don't apologize. Audience will be confident if you start with confidence. If you say that I don't know why I have been invited to deliver this talk today, if you start like that, the interest of the audience also will be lost, and their confidence also will be lost. So that's why don't apologize. Then opening will be original and interesting, and avoid too early climax. Sometimes people, they would like to offer what's the purpose of their presentation. Then that too, if it is for persuasive, then don't reveal that at the initial moment itself. Then don't make the introduction too long. This is also important aspect when you begin the talk. Then there are some ways which you can begin your speech. These ways are very important. These ways are very useful for the young aspirant speakers, young aspirants. The ways to start a speech. First among them, statement of subject or title. This is the usual way of starting the speech. From the school level, the teachers, they insist the candidates who attend the oratorical competition, the elocution competition, they ask them to present the title of the speech. Today I am going to talk about. This is not very inspiring, but at the same time, there is no harm in using this method. There is no harm in using this method. Probably the audience also know the subject, and anyhow, you can introduce the title, the topic of your speech at first. Then statement of your objective and the plan of your talk. You can present the objective of your talk. This also could be used very effective way of presentation. At the same time, if you try to persuade the audience, if you say at first your objective, then the audience may lose that interest. That's why in persuasion, speech intended to persuade or inspire, there you cannot use this trick or way of starting your speech. Another one, informal way of speaking for informal occasions. For example, when myself and Mr. Nyanavel, the HR, the human resource manager, HR, and both of us discussed on the other day, since I have been given lectures to online lectures to different types of audiences at different colleges and other institutions. When we discussed, then Mr. Nyanavel asked me, why don't you give a lecture for my alma mater, the students of my alma mater where I studied. So this is the informal way of beginning the speech. In informal occasions, we can use this type of presentation. Then question. Another way, questioning. Anticipate the sort of questions your audience might want to be answered. So you can expect the questions according to that. If you think that, yes, this is another program related to your personality development, yes, I can tell you, yes, it is true. So such sort of questions you can ask to the audience, then you can begin your speech. Then mind reading, another technique, another way, mind reading. Similar to the use of question, and you can anticipate audience's preconceived ideas and bring those ideas into open, and then if necessary, and correct them. If you think that this is another pep talk I am going to deliver, is certainly not. This is very much essential for everyone. We have to learn. For example, like that, you have to begin your speech, mind reading. Then anecdote. Anecdote, stories related to the real persons and then real life incidents. So story can be told at the beginning, relevant to the subject. It should be brief, if possible, personal also, just like the cine actor, comedian Vadivelu. The willingness to laugh at yourself will usually win audience. So laugh at yourself. You do not make others to feel that embarrassment in making bad comments or nasty comments about the participants. Rather, you can laugh at yourself. That can attract the attention of the audience and you can win the audience. So you can use the technique of anecdote too. Then joke. Joke, this is tricky. You have to be very careful when you begin your speech with a joke, because the sense of humor of people that differs. The joke, sometimes type of audience they accept. Sometimes the joke may fall flat. Some other audience, they may not accept the joke and simply they keep at you, stare at you. So if they do not laugh, if you think that it's a great joke, and when you begin, and if they do not laugh, then automatically the situation will be worse to you. So you have to remember, when you use a joke, you have to be cautious at the beginning of your speech presentation. You can begin the speech with the facts and the statistics. You can begin the speech with facts and statistics. This is another mode of beginning the speech, but facts should be accurate. You have to be accurate and choose them carefully and present effectively at the time of your presentation. Quotation, very popular way of beginning the speech, but at the same time, that should be relevant to your subject. You can begin the speech with the quotation, but that should be relevant to your subject. Not only that, the quotation from a popular, famous person can be used, and you can use that at the time of the beginning of your speech. That will be very effective way of starting the speech. Shock can be created, but once again, the risk is involved. You cannot completely alienate the audience by providing shock to them, but you have to be judicious in creating the effect of shock. I began the presentation today with that knowledge may be useless. Knowledge may be useless unless it is communicated to others. Knowledge may be useless. When you give the pass, then immediately the shock that will be created. Why the knowledge is useless? We never get that idea. Then unless it is communicated to others, we get the answer. So provide that shock, but that should be judicious. we have to use that shock effectively. Then topical story. You can begin your presentation, you are talking, you are speaking with the topical story. This is contrary to the humorous story, topic related story. So story that is related to your topic, especially with unusual twist, you can begin your speech with topical story. Then we come to the section, the segment, how to close the talk, the closing of the talk, how to close the talk. You must finish on high note. This is important. You have to finish with the same verve, with the same enthusiasm, with the same energy, with that high note. You have to finish your presentation. There are pitfalls, there are unsuspected dangers. You have to avoid wandering towards the end. People at the time when they come to that the closing of the speech, they wander, they meander, and they are not directly related to the title, and they suffer. You should avoid that sort of wandering towards the end of your presentation. So don't make the second speech. Sometimes you may have that new ideas at the time when you come to wind up the speech. You should avoid again to start that speech. You cannot do that. Give so many closing signals. You find that some of the speakers, they use and finally, in conclusion, one other thing before I finish. They repeatedly tell these closing signals, but they never come to an end. They never come to an end. So you will be a laughing stock if you keep on doing this. Then the ways to stop the speech. What are the ways you find to stop your speech? How to conclude your speech? Very important suggestions are here. The best among them, summary. You can summarize. The important ideas which you discussed in that particular speech. Summary, certainly a very good way of closing the speech. Then questions. Then you can send your audience away to think of an answer. You can give some questions, ask some questions, and make them to realize, to find answers to those questions. Then story or anecdote. You can present a story or anecdote, and that should be brief, to the point, and you can make that sort of story or anecdote also, just like the beginning of your speech. At the end of your speech also, you can present a story or anecdote. Then quotations. Quotations certainly lend credibility to your presentation, and that can indicate wide knowledge of you. So just like the beginning of the speech, at the end of the speech also, you can give some quotations and make your speech more lively at the time of the closure. Then alternative. You can offer that other alternatives, other solutions too. At the same time, you can stick with your own idea and give more weightage to your idea. Then dramatic use of your voice modulation, intonation, you can use at the end to attract the attention of the audience and make a very good impression at the time of the closure of your speech. Action, you want action now, and then you can ask the audience to involve in action. When you want to become a good speaker, then you have to adapt the ways of beginning, ways of ending of the speech which we discussed today. Like that, you can urge action. Then incentive. You can provide that, suggest that the ways in which the audience can benefit, some sort of reward or incentive you can give, and they can respond. Fear, another important aspect. You can create a fear at the end of your speech. And then, we should not involve over-indulge the fear factor. Use judiciously fear, and automatically they can work for it. Then conscience pricking, it is just like the fear. Again, it is less risky. You can arouse the conscience of the audience to involve in action. As already we saw that the use of visual aids that will be very helpful as a speaker. So you can distribute handouts, visual aids, and these handouts and the visual aids are necessary to make an emphatic presentation. Visuals for complex interrelated ideas, and then you can be persuasive in your communication, involve the audience also, persuasive in your communication. And the use of boxes, you computer science students who attend this particular session, and you know very well about all these aspects, creating that better visual aids using of boxes, circles, bullets, dashes, layout of that space, you know very well. And make sure that there will not be any spelling mistakes in your PPT, in your PowerPoint slides, in your visual aids. Very important. Then use of notes. Yes, this is a better way. You can keep the notes of your presentation. Even the best and the most confident speakers, they use notes because our memories are faulty. We may forget some important ideas to present. So memories are faulty. At the same time, notes, they guard against omissions. They help us to present all important relevant ideas. Then they help to develop a complicated close-knit argument. Even the complicated ideas also can be presented if we keep notes with us at the time of our presentation, at the time of our speaking. So they prevent the loss of sequence also. So notes will be very much helpful. That's why teachers, they always carry notes when they deliver their lectures. So all the important ideas can be presented and no idea can be left. Then written and read. This is another way of doing the presentation, but technical presentations which are liable to be quoted are concerned with the policy matters. There you can use the written and the read method of presentation. But at the same time, written and read speeches produce a dull and then artificial speech, stilted speech, which lacks vitality. And it also prevents you to look at the audience also. So written and read, that can be avoided. And written and memorized, another way of presentation, writing all the points and then memorizing all the points, and then trying to present in the form of impromptu, offhanded, impromptu, naturally. But here we have that one particular problem. Memories are always that memories are faulty. We may forget sometimes some ideas. Then automatically this will be a disaster. If we forget some ideas, then automatically we will be in a fix. So we cannot move further. That's why it gives the effect of a canned speech. So a sealed speech. So that may not be that much a good idea to do written and memorized presentation. So summary headings or keyword notes. This is another way of presentation. This can be done. So cards and sheets containing the main points and the key arguments with illustrations, and they can be used. And this is a best method, and you can use these summary headings or keyword notes. So practicing the talk, always that keep butterflies, that nervousness, that anxiety, that fear, At the reasonable limits, you can keep them, control them, and a thorough preparation you can do. Knowledge is an antidote of fear. So thorough preparation, if you know very well, then you better position to present your ideas effectively and efficiently. So plenty of practice. You have to do that many times, do the rehearsals, practice the whole talk out loud. You have to speak loud. If it is possible before the mirror, you can do that. In a familiar, similar sized room, you can do that. Use recorders, again and again listen your presentations. You can correct the shortcomings and check the timing also. You can do that. Then consider the dry run, the rehearsal with an audience of colleagues or friends or family members. Then come to that, the last segment, the essential qualities of a good speaker: conviction, sincerity. Conviction or sincerity, very much essential for a good speaker. So the audience want facts. Facts should be accurate. More than that, they want to know your attitude towards those facts. Your attitude towards those facts. How you present, whether you have the belief in what you say, whether that you believe, first of all, what you say, the audience would like to see that. So conviction, that sincerity, the job which you have at your hand, that is an important, essential quality of a good speaker. Enthusiasm, that liveliness, the real conviction that breeds that enthusiasm. So you should not be listless, wayward, or half-hearted in your presentation. So you can be enthusiastic. Automatically, the audience, the listeners, they also will catch that enthusiasm. Then power of speech, and you have to control the power of your speech and be positive always. Avoid that the phrases, in my humble opinion, please bear with me, or forgive me. You should not use such weak phrases in your presentation. Be confident. With that confidence, you can develop that positivity, the positive approach, and you have to make that the powerful speech to the audience. Simplicity, another important aspect, as already I told you at the beginning of my presentation, and you can use that as much as simple words, simple expressions. And you should not use that the bombastic style which is obscure, which is difficult for the audience to listen. So rather, you should not assume that the audience will know everything. This is also another important fallacy. So people, the speakers, they assume, yes, everything, whatever he presents, that is understandable to the audience. We should not have that sort of attitude, and this is called coic, clear only if known. So familiar ideas you have to present, familiar language you have to use to make the audience more lively to listen your presentation. So here we find that I just put a summary of the good qualities of a good speaker, and you can find sincerity, enthusiasm, power of speech, and simplicity. These are the basic ingredients, fundamental ingredients of effective communication. So I will be thankful. The reference, you can find that Mastering Communication, and I referred this source of Stanton Nicky for my presentation. With that, I would like to wind up my presentation. And once again, I thank the authorities of Nehru Memorial College, Puthanambatti, and my good friend, Mr. Gnanavel, and the respected professor and head, Professor Muralidharan, and the convener, Professor Lakshmi, and all the staff members of this esteemed institution, And I thank all the participants for your listening and your watching of this session. Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, Dr. Ayyappa Raja.
Thank you, sir.
I really amazed your extempore speech and your simple and effective language definitely gives a lot of impact on the students. Thank you very much for your effective delivery. Thank you, sir.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I request Professor Lakshmi to propose a vote of thanks.
I'm KP Lakshmi, Associate Professor from Department of Computer Science, Nehru Memorial College, Uttarampatti, Trichy. I'm going to propose vote of thanks. Distinguished resource person of today's webinar, Dr. S. Ayyappa Raja, our beloved alumni, Mr. Gnanavel, respected President, Secretary, Principal, Head of the Department, faculty from our college and other colleges, research scholars, and student participants. Good morning to everyone. First and foremost, our sincere gratitude to Dr. S. Ayyappa Raja, Associate Professor of English, Zonal Coordinator, Youth Red Cross, Annamalai University, for spending his valuable time with us and sharing more useful information for us. So we gained a lot of information from your lecture, sir. Most of the questions normally we come across when we prepare for speeches or clarified by you in this today's session, sir. And we're all amazed with the information like how to express in simple words, utilizing the opportunities like we are asked for proposing the vote of thanks and ways to different ways to gain points, to find out our strengths and weaknesses, and the preparation of strategies, including time during speeches, and expectation of analyzing the expectation of audience, and we learned how to prepare a good speech and attract the audience. Thank you for your valuable information, sir. We are all amazed with your information, and we are getting clarified most of the questions. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, madam. Thank you.
I take this opportunity to express my heartfelt thanks to President and Secretary, President, Secretary, Principal, and Principal who are all not presenting here, even though they are not available here. We are very thankful for providing this opportunity, for arranging this webinar for our students as well as the others. Thank you, everyone. I especially thank our head of the department, Dr. M. Muralidharan, who is the backbone of each and every webinar, and he guides us, motivates us to do most of the things for our students. Thank you, sir. Yeah, big thank you to Mr. Gnanavel, our alumni, who is helping us to arrange this type of webinars from the starting of the COVID-19 itself. Thank you, Gnanavel, sir, for providing such a wonderful resource person for us.
Yes, ma'am. Welcome.
I thank the wonderful participants from various districts, faculty participants, student participants who are eagerly registered for this event and patiently listening the webinar. Thank you, everyone, for your participation and involvement. Thank you once again. Thank you, sirs, and thank you, participants.
Thank you, madam. Gnanavel, would you like to have some words?
Okay, sir. Okay. Welcome, sir. Nandri, sir, for Dr. Ayyappa Raja gave the wonderful speech, and proud of you, Dr. Ayyappa Raja. Wonderful, great opportunities to take our colleges, the Nehru Memorial College, Uttarampatti. So very inspired to you. So very full thank you so
much, my dear friend. Thank you.
Okay, welcome.
Thank you, Gnanavel. Thank you, Janavel, for giving us a very wonderful resource person. Thank you.
கண்டிப்பா கண்டிப்பா
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, sir.
ஓகே சார் ஓகே
Okay, sir.
ஓகே சார் ஓகே தேங்க் யூ
Okay,
வெரி
sir.
மச்
Now we will leave the meetings now.
செஷன் ஓகே ஓகே
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, sir.